What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's time for episode 22 of Guardians franchise. There has been a little bit of a lull in between episodes, and just like the last time we had a week plus in between episodes, it is because the other jobs kind of amped up in intensity, and then YouTube gets put on the back burner a little bit, and I do apologize for that, but we are back. I'm not quitting. If the series is going away abruptly, I will make it known. I'll do like, you know, a quick 2-minute video saying, hey, this is what's going on, or something like that. Won't just leave it hanging. So if you do see a little lull, just know that things are just getting a little bit too busy with my time, and that's the main reason why. But here we are, we're back. We're going to do our On the Farm report as promised, talk about the draft, talk about our prospects at large, and I also want to kind of correct something I talked about last episode that my editor, Notorious Kev, had noticed. We did get international free agents, international amateur free agents here. You see all these guys, because I thought that because I forgot to put guys on the list, or actually no, what I had seen was when we went here, there was only like 4 guys on the list. And I was like, oh great, they only put 4 guys on the list and scouted them. What Kev pointed out was they did do a full list, but then didn't hold them on the list for whatever reason. So we still got a full practice in, even though I had missed that deadline to do it myself. And then, of course, once November started, we got a full practice in with the guys that we want on the international market. So we'll get more into detail about these guys when we start signing them. I don't really do a ton of run-up with these guys because, I mean, they're light years away anyway. Do I really want to do a deep dive into all these 80 grade, 75 grade guys when we're only going to get 1, maybe 2 if a pipe dream craziness works out? No, we will talk about them as we see fit, but I did want to clear up that we did get a full scout that first time, so that's great. Let's go back to the draft because it was an interesting draft, and I'm curious. Let's see here. Can I get into the log? I can. Okay, great. So we still have last year's draft up. There were some fun, interesting things that I just want to cover. First things first, this was like a draft of Chris's. At least that's what I put here on my notes. There was Chris Robinson, who went number 2. This guy was pretty good here going to the White Sox. Then there was Chris Mann. Where's Chris Mann? Chris Mann here, who went to us. Get more to him in a minute. Chris Richardson, who went the pick after us. And Chris Sill here. So 4 first-round Chris's, and it's just, you know, my brain picks up stupid little patterns like that don't really matter, but because we also took one of the Chris's, I found it interesting. And then, like, when I was scouting the full pool before San Francisco had made the number 1 pick, I'm looking at everybody and I'm saying, wow, like 4 of our top 7 or 8 guys are named Chris, at least in terms of guys that I thought were going to get to us. I never really thought Robinson would make it, but you never know, right? Sometimes you see an 80 grade guy who you're like, oh, this guy has to go in the top 10, and you're picking 28th and he makes it. But yeah, String Robinson here. One thing I will say, I do love with the created classes, all the nicknames that come in as we start to see more and more. Now, I think we're still on real drafts, right? Or we have some real players in the 2026 draft, shouldn't we? Although I'm not seeing any Twitter handles. This might, oh no, here we go. Grady Emerson, turn 2 Grady. So it's a mix right now, I think, still, and then maybe 27 is the first like fully created one. Either way, we don't need to get hung up on that. There were a ton of Chris's. Now, there was another guy that I wanted to make, well, I was going to say I wanted to make fun of. I guess I kind of do, because it's an interesting name. Because his name looks like Cowabunga. Kawano Bynum. I just put him in my list. I said, Kawano Bynum sounds like Cowabunga. That's what I put on my outline. I got nothing more than that. It just sounds like Cowabunga. Or you know, conjures the idea of Cowabunga. And if you're of a certain age and you watched, you know, The Simpsons 42 years ago when it was actually good, then you know what Cowabunga is. And if not, don't worry about it. I promise you're not missing a damn thing. All right, then I wanted to talk about, we'll get into our picks, I promise, but I wanted to cover some of the little fun things first. Oh, Tampa Bay's pick in the first round, Kevin Goodson. Is he a good son or is he deranged? His nickname is Deranged, which is amazing. I mean, again, conflicting messages here. Was he a good son or was he a deranged son? I don't know. But he's a switch hitter of, you know, some intrigue for sure. Like, this is a nice pick, especially at pick 26 here. You got a guy with the big gap, the high contact doubles profile with a little bit of pop. 50 power if he gets all the way there. That's not bad. Not really going to take walks at 45, but then you got some interesting speed. You got the high work ethic, and you got a good defensive profile. He can play second, third, short, and a little center field, although the defense out in the outfield is not there. And if you were going to play him, you wouldn't play him in center, but don't worry about that. That's ancillary. Focus on the infield defense, which is really good. So deranged is somebody I want to kind of keep tabs on just because his name is ridiculous. So I think we'll just throw him on the default. I should make a list of just like what, goofy names or silly players I want to follow, but I want to follow deranged. I want to see what comes of him. All right, now let's get into our picks there. Those are my all the Chris's and deranged and Cowabunga. We got that out of the way. Now let's get into what we did in the draft. And our first round pick there, I showed it was a gentleman named Chris Mann. And so here's what we got with the 27th overall pick. Now, there's not a ton of power here. In fact, there's, quite a dearth of it at a 40 potential power, but it's 70 potential I and gap and avoid K. Could be 70 on all three of those with a 60 BABIP. It's a unique third base profile because, the general idea in baseball is to get power from your corners, first, third, left, right, then defense up the middle, and whatever kind of bat that you can get would be great. Let's see here. So I do think it is a little bit weird to have him as a third baseman just because I'm so used to give me a power guy. I'll even sacrifice a little bit of defense. But as you can see here, he could play some second. And he is a better fit as, this is kind of a more stereotypical, second baseman type with this profile. But either way, whether it's second, third, he's 18, he's got time. We'll kind of see what's what with him. Now, one of the things I did say about wanting to cover the draft picks a little bit later was that a bunch of them would get some time. For whatever reason, Mann didn't get any burn after signing. And I don't think he took a real long time to sign, as you can see here. Signed on 7/12. I don't know why he didn't play. Maybe I should have gone in there and made sure that he was getting in, but I just assumed, and you know what happens when you assume. Our second pick, which was still in the first round, but in the supplemental first round, was Liam Peterson. Pitcher out of the University of Florida with a great arsenal, potential 70 stuff, potential 60 BABIP and home run, but only 45 potential control. And that's where we're going to have to lean on his work ethic and intelligence to get him in the lab and build that control. And just as he's developing across the minors, right? It's not just about the lab. You should be able to develop as you're, as you're working your way through the minor leagues as well. So hopefully the combo of the two. I probably won't put him in the lab this year. Probably next year. Let's give him a year as a player. He also didn't play after being drafted, which is a bummer. But I don't really know what the purpose was behind not playing these guys. But you know what? Let me look. It might have just been an overcrowded ACL. No, there are 31 players. I don't know. That's kind of frustrating because, again, I wanted these guys to get some burn, see a little bit of numbers. It wouldn't have, changed exactly how we feel about them, but just to get some data going, just for the fun of that. But apparently a lot of these guys did not play after being drafted. So, yeah, we know that there's real reliever risk here. It's going to be on our staff and our development lab to bring this up to at least a 50 so that he can comfortably start. As a 45, I'm not starting Liam Peterson. He'll become like a super stopper or something. He is 21, so he's not a baby. He needs to kind of get going a little bit. And in fact, I wonder if maybe we should start him a little bit higher. Is he Midwest League worthy? I kind of think so. I wonder if he's even maybe AA worthy. I mean, it says 25. Okay, this is something I don't get still, y'all. And maybe you can help me out with this. Because I'm doing ratings relative to the Eastern League. And everything is at least yellow. How does that yield a 25? I do not get that. In the Midwest League, he's a 30. Frankly, I don't really get that either. That should also be higher. I don't understand. But we won't push him all the way up to AA. I think that might be a little too aggro. But we are going to go with the high A situation. Let's get him to Lake County, and let's see how that goes. with Liam Peterson. Then we took Jeremy Saylor in the second round, and all you have to do when you see a catcher that I take, go look at the defense, and it'll probably tell you exactly what I was thinking. Don't even worry about the offense. Sometimes the offense is going to be there, and that's supplemental. Other times, it's all about the glove. First and foremost, like that's always going to be the foundation of my catcher picks. High work ethic and, leadership qualities also part of it. He has high work ethic, 70 blocking, 70 framing, 60 arm for Jeremy Saylor. Coming out of Rogers State University, never heard of it. Can hit a little bit, right? Like there's some contact ability. It's actually kind of a unique catcher profile from the hitting standpoint. Usually you kind of have, that Jake Rogers type who can go yard 15, 20 times a year, but it's going to hit, float around the Mendoza line, which for those that don't know, that's a pretty old reference these days, but the Mendoza line is hitting 200 or under based on Mario Mendoza one time. Just like a really good fielder who couldn't hit to save his life. So yeah, they named the Mendoza line after him. But either way, this guy, Jeremy Saylor, is probably going to be more of like, okay, he can hit, 250 if things develop, but it might be with like 4 homers. But we're here for the defense. So whatever the bat can do is bonus. Now, he did get some burn, and I did put him up at high A, and that seems to have challenged him a bit too much. He got his clock cleaned, hitting a cool 124 in 129 plate appearances. Okay, I had him there for his defense, though. So hopefully he's not totally demoralized by that, because, again, maybe he was pushed a little bit too hard. We'll leave him there for now. Again, he's 22, brilliant defensive catcher. Let's see what he can do with the bat. Then we took Jaquan Washington, and again, this was another one where I'm going to let the development hopefully turn this into a better pick. Third round, aka our fourth pick because of our supplemental pick, is a little early to be taking a reliever-only type guy. We're really hoping that we're going to be able to add that pitch in the coming years. He's 18 years old, 2 excellent pitches, the fastball and the knuckle curve, but needs a third to really start. Otherwise, this is a definite reliever. I think there was also... no, not really. I think some of our guys have a little bit of hitting to them, some of our pitchers. This was not one of them. But yeah, I think I just took him because he kept lasting. He was kind of sitting at the top of the list there as an 80. And I get it. It's because he's a reliever. And you really shouldn't take reliever-only guys too early. I think with our fourth pick, it's not the end of the world. And again, I'll tell you what. Last year's game, I still don't take Jaquan Washington even in the third round because I'm not confident in the ability to find that third pitch, just kind of, by happenstance. But with the development lab, I think we at least have more control over it. And that makes me want to take some of these projects a little bit more, thinking that, hey, we can at least keep trying to get that extra pitch and see where it goes, especially for an 18-year-old. If he's 21, 22, college guy, probably don't take him because then he probably is in that reliever path. But being a high school kid, that kind of helps us out. So we'll see what happens with Jaquan Washington. Then we took Lathan Canerva in the fourth round, and, he's just a solid player, right? 60 range, up the middle there, shortstop, bunch of green on his batting profile if he gets there, 50s and 55s all over, potential 60 power even. So there's some upside there, certainly a guy that we can develop into a quality player. But even if he just kind of stays on this trajectory, this is a major leaguer as is. But there's a foundation here that says, hey, a couple extra 5s here and there, and this guy could be a stud. So I like Lathan Canerva. Here's a big pick for us. So you may remember that coming into the year, we had some extra money, and I threw some of that money into the draft, into our draft budget, in a way to kind of hide it. And what I mean by hide it was when we hit the official preseason beginning, I didn't want to have way too much money in our coffers to where the ownership's going to say, oh, you don't need all of that. Let's lower that. Let's put that back in my pocket. So we kind of parked it in a few spots, including the draft budget. Well, I never ended up taking it out of the draft budget. A, because we didn't need it, and B, because I forgot. So it's kind of a double whammy there. The B answer there is probably the A answer, honestly. It's because I forgot. But either way, it served us well because we were then determined to maybe take a impossible signing with one of our later picks, and that opportunity was presented to us in the 5th round with Engel Daniel Calberer. This gentleman here is a pitcher. starter quality, high loyalty, adaptability, work ethic, 3 pitches, some, the ability to develop into a quality pitcher with 60 potential stuff and control. We'll see how the homer and BABIP come along. Here's the kicker. Our boy was 10 milli. Now, is he a $10 million prospect? Honestly, no, not really. I mean, it's a 60 grade potential in the 5th round. So like that's pretty nice. But he's not like some standout, holy crap, give this guy 10 mil no matter what. But we had it. We had the money. What are we going to do with it otherwise? Why not take a shot? So I took him, wanted to see how the rest of the draft would go. By the time all the dust settled with everything, we were able to offer him the 10 mil. And as you can see by him being on our team, he accepted it. So I figure why not? I don't know how good he'll be, but he is our $10 million man. And so now we're really going to keep tabs on Engel Daniel Calberer. Looks like this guy got 2 last names here. Roark Atley in the 6th round. Not a bad pick. Power I, 3 true outcomes kind of guy. Power at 60, I at 65, avoid K at 45. I mean, there you go. But he can pick it a little bit too. Our Canadian friend here has a 65 range and 65 turn double plays. So usually your 3 true outcomes guys are like first baseman or left fielders or really like DHs. Like almost they shouldn't even be on the field. Not Ruby Atley here. Oh, he got nicknamed Ruby. I like that. Ruby Atley is cooler than Roark Atley. I'm just saying. I'm just being legitimate with it. Roark isn't a terrible first name, but I just can't stop thinking of Tanner Roark. So I'm just like, it's automatically a last name there for me. But Ruby Atley, that's pretty cool. Is this a real, this isn't a real player? Probably. Now, if they don't have a Twitter, it doesn't mean that they aren't a real player. Not everyone has Twitter, but that's usually the first sign that it's a real life player is if they have their Twitter handle in there. So I'm looking and I see no Roark Atley. I wonder, like, do we change his first name to Ruby? Just because that's way cool. No, we'll leave it. But he's a pretty intriguing prospect, especially for a 6th rounder. I like picking him up there. Then we got Danny Baldwin in the 7th. Another guy with power I, but not as much of a strikeout risk. Now, he doesn't bring the defense of Atley. In fact, this is more of your like, okay, this is a bat first, maybe even bat only. Actually, no. I will retract bat only because he's got a 65 arm over at third base. And sometimes that alone can be enough. Now, he's only got 45 range, so he's not like a stud over there picking everything, but that arm can cover some of the flaws of Danny Baldwin's range. And if the bat comes along, you got yourself a nice prototypical power third baseman type. There's like a little bit of maybe like an Eugenio Suarez vibe here. Maybe not present day Eugenio because he's not having a great season, but like peak Suarez. How much has the best Suarez season walked? What were his walk rates in his good years? Yeah, double digits. Okay, and then plenty of strikeouts. But that's the kind of vibe. You can quibble with some of the factors there, but I'm seeing like an Eugenio Suarez type potential there out of Danny Baldwin in the 7th round. And then this guy. Look at the name. Look at the name. Don't worry about anything else. His name is Alpha Jones Smith. In what universe am I not taking him? That's a hilarious name. Alpha Jones Smith. Now, Alpha, that name comes around a lot in last year's game too. Once we start getting into the generated classes, you'll see the names Sincere, Alpha, and Zion a ton. And, a ton meaning more than once every 10 years, which is about what you should see any of those 3 names. Zion's a kick-ass name, by the way. Sincere and Alpha are pretty cool names too. I love some of the Sincere guys that we've seen over the years. We had a guy named Sincere Knuckles in our universe in last year's sim, and it was unbelievable. Now he ended up being a bust. He had like really, really, really high potential, and he was a stone cold bust. But his name was Sincere Knuckles. I was actually kind of glad we missed him in the draft because of how much of a bust he ended up being. But yeah, we got Alpha Jones Smith here. Decent arm, has a premium cutter potentially here. Great profile with high adaptability, work ethic, and intelligence. So we'll see what can happen out of Alpha Jones Smith. But of course, the name alone lets us keep tabs on him. And right now he does have bullpen concerns because he only has 30 stam. We're thinking hopefully we can build that up extract an extra 5 to 10 out of that stamina and turn him into a real starter. Danny Cray, I think it's Cray, Kreye, Cry. I mean, EYE, I know that's I. So with the KR at the front, maybe it's Cry. Danny Cry. Danny Cry, Cray, crew, high work ethic, 60 control. Those are kind of the calling cards, right? Like once you start getting deeper in the draft, you're looking for a standout skill or two. And, these are things that I like. A guy that has at least one standout skill on the profile and then high work ethic to maybe bring up the others. That leads us to Danny Cry. I have Brennan Cyber here, or Cyber. For some reason, I didn't put him on the top prospects. Like, I'm pretty loose with who our top prospects are. Like, he's a 40 potential. That is enough to get on the list. So that was just accidental that I didn't bring him on. 22, almost fully developed at this point. Frankly, I think his 44 innings at A-ball, while they weren't standout, I think they're enough to kind of move on. At his age, I think it's time for, he needs to be a bit of a fast tracker because his profile is not amazing. We need to leverage his personality to hopefully maximize what we can get out of Cyber here, because he does have all the great personality aspects, except for low leader, which that's fine. I'm not worried about that. If you've got the high adaptability, work ethic, intelligence, you can even be high financial ambition and low leader, and I don't care. Those don't bother me. So he'll be interesting. Colton Hartman came in the 11th round. Now he's got a little bit of a bat. Okay, I thought I recognized this name. I think in last year's game, he was more of a top flight prospect. And I want to say he was hitter first. It looks like this year he's reversed, where he's pitching first, but both avenues are there. Neither is standout. Thus, he's an 11th round pick. So we'll see what we can do with the left-hander. I'm not entirely sure what my plans are. Now, his profile is excellent. He's got high everything. The only negative is the financial ambition, which, as I always say, you guys know I don't care. If you deserve the money, I'll pay you. Sure, I'd love to save money and pinch pennies, but if they're studs, we'll pay them. We will pay them to stick around. So we'll see what's up with Colton Hartman there. And then I don't think I'm going to cover every single pick because, again, it was stuck on 30 rounds again. So there's a whole bunch more picks. I'll go with Dusty Bell because I did put him on the list. And you can see Dusty Bell here. Just a bunch of green on the profile. It's just kind of a solid profile. High leader, adaptability, work ethic, and 60 range. So a decent little find here in the 12th round that I thought could turn into something. And then from there, none of these other guys are on the list. Doesn't mean that they shouldn't be. Like Avi Pittam or Pittam. Has potential 75 stuff. I think that is good enough. That alone is a standout enough skill to be on the top prospects list. So we'll throw him on. See about any of these other guys. Cliff Hoot, H-U-O-T, Hoot. Also Canadian, of course he is. A fucking unnecessary U. I mean, I should have known right away. Having that U right there, that Canadian instantly. His last name should just be Clifford Hot. But no, it's from Canada, so they threw a U in it. Why did they name him Clufford? Anyway, 60 framing, 60 arm behind the dish with some green on the bat, right? This is not a bad scoop, and high work ethic too. So I like Clufford Hoot. And I will throw him on the list too. Omari Zewdie, Zewdie, is a pretty cool last name. Another high work ethic. Don't be surprised, when it starts getting late. Give me the guys who can maybe turn themselves into something a bit more with their personality. High range, 60 range. Those are the factors. And then some green in the hitting profile here too. Punchless as can be, but some other stuff there. And again, we're talking 15th round at this point. I don't know that this is enough to get on the list. You know what the 60 range is. Again, we're liberal with it on the prospect list, so we'll throw them on there. Dylan Schlegel, Chris Kling. No. Schlegel, all these guys have great profiles. Now, he has 65 range in the outfield with a great speed profile. I did put Zewdie on because of his 60 range, but I also think he has a little bit more of a bat. So I'm gonna do the cutoff here. I'm not gonna put Schlegel or Kling on. What about Owen Egan? I'm just showing you these guys if you want to look at the screen if you're a second screener, because I'm not going to go over them in detail. Egan does have a little tinge of a two-way potential. It's not much, But like if the hitting totally flopped, maybe we could push him into pitching and kind of boost it. But it's very light on the pitching. Drake Bowen. And where are my Twitch fans at? Those of you who watch me on Twitch when I did my Cincinnati Reds, we had a lot of fun with Drake with a Y. And a lot of memes based on the name there. Drayk for Drake is hilarious to me. He was a much better player in that series. So last year's game, he came in as a better prospect. He actually turned into a pretty nice major leaguer for us. Here, it's a little bit of a long shot. And because I had some previous history with him, that's why I took him. Work ethic and intelligence is high, great speed profile, but nothing else really bringing it together. He'll have to develop to really be anything. And at 22, it's unlikely. Dan Wells here. There you go. High work ethic, no surprise. Jaheim Muriel. A little bit of green on the profile, nothing crazy. Mauber Sherrill. It's just the 75 stuff, right? We're talking 23rd round at this point, 735th pick. Just give me a standout skill. And then Greg Handren. Also 65 stuff, high work ethic. There you go. Now, I don't know where picks 20, 24, 25, 26 are, to be honest. Because I'm showing all the players. Draft year 2026. I don't really know what could be preventing them from being shown. I can't imagine they're that great, whoever those players may be. Is there a world where I didn't sign them and I already cut them? Yes, there is a world where that might have already happened. The cutting thing, not the didn't sign, because those picks automatically sign. But I have gone through and done some organization on the minors a little bit here, and those guys just may have been cut already. So that's fine. So there's the draft. Now let's get into the minor leaguers that we already have. First, we'll start with our records, and they're not very good. They almost never are. AAA is the one that I can usually get pretty good, because obviously those are the guys that are right on the cusp. We have some of our best prospects that can be in the majors in a given year there. We have some nice, usually some veteran pieces that are, maybe in their 27 to 32 age range that are kind of cusp major leaguers. So I figured out how to kind of make AAA good. But everything beyond that, in almost all my sims, the records suck. I eventually usually get AA going because I have enough spillover from AAA that it starts trickling down. But almost never do I have high A and below ever put up good records. And this is even when I have a top 10 system. Now, right now we have a low system. We are ranked 23rd. We've started graduating guys. We do have a few guys in the top 200 here. We do have one top 20 guy. It is Arturo Latore from the international landscape, but he's 17. So he's ages away. But we've graduated a bunch of guys. We're kind of working with a bunch of our prospects right now, so we need that next group to kind of emerge. But even when we have a top 5 program, these lower minors always suck, and I don't really get it. So maybe we'll figure that out in this sim, but hopefully it doesn't stunt their growth. That's the real important part. But let's get into some of our top prospects that weren't drafted this year. So I'm going to go, just to get rid of them, since we just we just covered them. We will do draft year is not 2026. And then we'll look at some of the guys that we've got here, and we'll sort by potential. Actually, how do we want to do this? You know what? I kind of want to go. Can we go by league type? Oh, that's just going to show their stats for it. Never mind. How do I want to do this? Let's just do it in this way that I have. Now, we're not going to cover all these guys. I'm not going down to these 35s. I did call this a little bit. These 35s did make the cut for one reason or another, like Adonis Guzman is just because of his catcher defense and profile. Let's see here. Juan Herrera, probably the same since he's a catcher. High work ethic. Actually, he's a bit fringier, but I am getting a scouting report on him, so I'll see what happens after that scouting report. He might actually be going. Liam Doyle. He's decent enough. He's only 35 potential. There's some potential there. He was a 6th rounder last year, so we're sticking with him. Alex Clemmy. There's some potential here. Again, a low control guy that we have to kind of work a little bit, but he's holding on by a thread. And then Andres Castro. High work ethic, young, kind of holding on by a thread as well. So those are the 35s down there that they're definitely borderline, but like I said earlier, I do have a little bit of a loose threshold on who to keep on the top prospects. And that said, we only have 39 here. It's not like I'm putting, 100 guys on there. So let's do our batters first, excuse me. And let's go batters, sort by potential. Eloy Manali is our number one potential guy with a 60 grade potential. Now, he's an international free agent signing from this past year here. He's 17 years old and freshly so, just 2 months into his age 17 year. So he's light years away. So it's really hard to say too much about him, right? Like, I don't even think this was our big signing, right? Was it? What did we pay for him? Yeah, 1.7 mil. So we didn't even... This wasn't even our big go-to, and now he's emerged as our best potential. That doesn't speak well of, I think, Canul. Was he the one we signed? No, we signed him last year. Who else did we sign in this period that I guess has kind of, I don't want to say flopped because it's too early to say that, but we paid more for somebody than we did Manali, if I recall correctly, and I just can't remember who because they're not standing out here. So that's a little bit alarming. Canul was somebody that we signed 2025 international amateur free agent period, and we paid $390,000 for him. So he's looking like a real find at this point, because while he is only 50 potential, there's 65 gap, 60 power potential for an 18-year-old that we paid such a little price for. There could be a lot here, and 60 outfield range. So there's some things to like here with Juan Canul. Then we have Chase DeLauder, who's hanging on. Honestly, he shouldn't even be on this list because he has graduated as a prospect. But I don't do my top prospect list to a T of who's a qualified prospect. Once you expire your rookie eligibility, the Fangraphs, Baseball America, Baseball Prospectuses, MLB.coms of the world do take you off the prospect list, which is totally accurate. I totally get that. But internally, I know teams, they don't do that, right? If you hit 131 plate appearances, you're technically no longer a rookie by Major League Baseball, but you still haven't played nearly enough to say, okay, you're a finished product. So people will, teams will still look at those guys as prospects, even a year or two in, right? Like a 22-year-old who, maybe had a good rookie year at age 20, had a mediocre year in age 21. So he's had let's say he had 400 plate appearances in both those seasons. So he's 800 plate appearances into his career, had some highs, had some lows. That's still a prospect in a lot of organizations because he's so young and there's still so much that could change. But anyway, with DeLauder, I'm not even trying to huff any copium here. He is only at 848 plate appearances, which I didn't know when I did that 400 thing. I wasn't trying to reference him directly. The bottom line is I had a lot of excitement for him coming into this sim, and that excitement has all but evaporated. Now I'm hoping that he can be a capable fourth outfielder. Frankly, I might use him as trade bait or as not trade bait, because that would imply that there'd be a lot of interest, which I don't think there will be, but as kind of a piece to get a deal done, where maybe a team values him a little bit more than another team values him more than we do at this point and says, oh, give us DeLauder to get the deal done, where maybe a year or 2 seasons ago I would have said no way. Now I'm absolutely. So we'll see how that goes in the offseason with DeLauder. Nelson Lazaro, we got him from San Diego in a deal. What deal was that? I do not remember. The Sam Hentges deal. We traded a Hentges and a Ibanez for him. That ended up being a pretty nice deal here. How did Hentges do for San Diego? Okay, he had a decent season. The ERA was a bit up at 4.10, but you a 119 whip, 64 innings. He had a 255 FIP, so the skills were there. Maybe just got a little unlucky with a 314 BABIP and a 64% left on base rate. So he wasn't straining the guys when they were getting on, but all in all, not too bad there. And then Ibanez, did they even keep him? They did not. Okay. Didn't necessarily think they would. So it was really Hentges from Lazaro, and interesting prospect. Long way to go. We knew it was a long shot when we did it, but we wanted to get another prospect in the system here, and we'll see how it goes. Didn't really do much in rookie ball this year for us with a 74 WRC plus. We'll check in on him down the line. He's got time. Luis Moreno was a scouting discovery and a pretty good one here. He's got a huge arm in the outfield with 55 range, 40 errors. So, he'll bumble some things, but got a huge arm to make up for. This is late career Yoenis Cespedes, When he wasn't as rangy, he would fumble some stuff, but then the arm could kind of recover for any issues that he had. The bat is not Yoenis Cespedes style because there's not nearly enough power to be called Cespedes, but there's something of a bat here. We can see how this can develop into something nice. We probably need a few more 5s coming in on the power and eye to really turn him into a potential stud, but there's certainly a path for Moreno to become a real player for us. Mauricio Aldrete, he was an international free agent signing from 2025 that we did pay for, 4.4 mil. And now he's down to just a 45 potential with a 30 avoid K. That's his potential. He took a big hit here in June. Things really came down, and this is just the international game. The thing of it is, I'm not even going to freak out over this because I've seen so many times in last year's Sims, when this program first started with the international, guys take these big hits early on and they get it all back in the coming years, right? Like they vacillate so much before they even become, and before they even get into like your mid minors, which I would say like is high A and A ball. I'm not worried is really the issue here. I know that this is an ugly scouting report from June. We'll give it time. I'm just not going to freak out on Aldrete right now. And we're getting a new scouting report here soon, because we're only at average right now. OSA likes him a bit better, so maybe we'll see if things change there. Mason Hour, also another guy who could be contributing this year, but could also be used as a trade bait piece like DeLauder, where we could see a team being really interested in him as kind of a piece of a deal that, hey, we can afford to move him because our outfield is pretty good, and we'll see what happens because there's enough skill here that would appeal to another ball club. Rangy outfielder with a big arm, super speedy profile, and then some hitting here with the 55 eye, 55 gap, and 50 BABIP that you can envision a plus bat, say like a 105 to 115 WRC plus range. Nothing crazy, but plus, with strong defense and speed, that can turn into a 3-win player pretty easily. Talon Bell was big two-way vibes last year, still carries some of the two-way vibes, but not nearly as much on the hitting. Last year, he was like legit potential two-way in some of my Sims. This year, he's kind of figuring out which side he's even going to go on. Like neither side stands out hitting or pitching. So we'll see what's up with him, but he's only 21. We're not giving up on him yet. He has been pushed into the bullpen here at Lynchburg, but he did find some success. He's still pissed because they're terrible and he doesn't like his role, and I get it. And you know what? I'm actually going to cater to him a little bit. I'm going to force starting. Let's go to A-ball. Or wait, it was Lynchburg, whatever it was, which is A-ball, yep. And whoever the number one starter was, which I don't know, because like I said, I did a bunch of moves with things. They're gone anyway, so let's see if they put Talon Bell in there. And they do. Perfect. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe he'll be in a better mood once he's actually starting again. All right, so we're back. And obviously, I said we're doing batters, and then we end up talking Talon Bell because... Actually, I don't know why. Because when I do batters here, he's all the way down here. Actually, how was he that high at any point? Did he just go down? Was he not a 45 a second ago? Oh, you know what? He was. And then I made him a starter. I'm not going crazy. Okay, thank God. I was like, dude. No, he drops 5 points down here. And we were on batters only, but since he's like a two-way type or like semi-two-way, that's why he was on the list. Okay, confusion cleared up. Luke Billings, took him similar to Drake Bowen, actually a higher level version of Drake Bowen where we had success with him in another sim. Actually the same sim, Cincinnati for both of them. Took him for that nostalgia of it and the big power. We took him, I think, in the second round as well with Cincinnati, and he was very similar here. Low work ethic, huge power. I think he had more eye potential when I took him in Cincinnati, but it was a long shot. It was a 3 true outcomes long shot, and he became a Hall of Famer. So I do not expect that again. That is a, once in a blue moon outcome. He doesn't need to be that good to be worth it though. Can he come up and hit 30 homers with like a 240 average and, a 330 OBP? Then that would work for us. But he's a long way from that. 20 years old and strikes out a ton, so I'm not holding my breath on that, y'all. Jason Chorio, Jackson's brother, still grinding it out, has enough defense to be a fourth outfielder, but the bat is lacking. So I think we need to see something here before we can really get excited about him. I'm curious what he looks like in AAA. Yeah, he doesn't really get a boost. He only spent 59 games in AA, so I don't think it's terrible to leave him there. I know he's pissed, but part of that is because he sucks and because the team sucks. So those things might be related. Let's see what the Rubber Ducks are doing with him. All right, we need a second catcher in AA. I mean, the offseason hasn't even started. We can figure that out, but just something to note. And there are 3 catchers here, so let's just send the eldest up to AA. There we go. Easy peasy. Just so it's, I do a sweep of everything before the season starts with the minor leagues. I would have caught it, but just get ahead of it right now while we're looking at it. Corey Collins, Georgia product that we drafted with Condon. Power and eye is there. He's looking a little bit Bo Naylor-y with the bat, like kind of a lesser Bo Naylor right now, because the rest of the profile outside of the power and eye is really, really rough. But that's the kind of vibe that Naylor was giving. Now, with Naylor, we're still keeping him as a potential catcher. With Collins, we said, just forget it. You're not going to catch for us. You're a first baseman. Apparently, he played a little bit of second base, which should not have happened, but he has a 20 grade there. I don't know that he's going to be able to find a major league role without some improvements in the BABIP and a void K. Not even just one or the other. I think both need to get at least +5s. One of them probably even needs to get a +10. That said, he did have a successful season in AAA, 113 WRC plus, because while he only hit 197, he had a 369 OBP, which was really nice. An 18% walk rate will do that for you. 22 homers, but it's so 3 true outcomes, y'all. 33% K rate. So we'll see. Interesting guy. Again, I'm not going to go through everyone here because a lot of these guys just aren't that compelling, right? Let's just be honest about it. Let's see if anybody does stand out here that we really want to dig into. Aiden Harris got some punch. There could be some bat there, but he doesn't have any eye and he strikes out too much, so it's going to be volatile. He'll need some development there. Petey Halpin, a little bit more of he's 24, so he needs to figure some things out. He's on low. We need to scout him. Let's see where he's at. And he's in AAA, so he could be a fill-in type guy. Welbin Francisca, he's been in high A now. He probably needs to move up. And, I don't know how you guys approach this, but sometimes a guy gets moved up just because they've been at a place kind of long enough, even if I don't have like super high hopes for him. Now he's on the cusp. He's only been there for 176 games from 25 and 26 at high A, and he didn't do well at all. So I don't think he needs to be pushed up just because he's at 20 is not too old for high A either. I actually thought he was a little bit older, so I was about to make a point that just because he's 22, which for some reason I had that in my head, doesn't mean he needs to move up. But yeah, he can just stay here right now. Even though he's pissed, he needs to play better to really get a move up. Then anybody else here stand out? I see Jack Parker with 60 power. So he's kind of leaning on that, but he has a low work ethic, so it might just eventually hamper him. But there is the 50 avoid K too, and that can be a foundation if both of these can develop. But it is a big if, especially with low work ethic, so we'll keep tabs on him, obviously, and hope. I see Federico Villarreal with a lot of green here. Yeah, this is only a 45 potential, which is kind of interesting, because if everything comes to fruition, it feels like it's at least a 50, but whatever. It's high work ethic. Federico Villarreal is somebody who can definitely rise, because if he starts sprinkling a few extra 5s on not every category, but on a couple of the hitting categories, and then maybe all of his defense, then all of a sudden we're talking about something special. And then you can see the rest of these guys down here. If any of them jump out to you, you can put a comment and say, oh, I'm a big Luis Durango fan or something like that. But let's go ahead and make sure all these guys are getting scouted. Some already were, but we'll just make sure. Same with these pitchers. Now, notice our pitcher list of top prospects is much smaller. So hang on, let's do this real quick. Let's see if there's anybody else worth adding that maybe I'm just missing the boat on. Sorting by potential and making the age at most 25. We see Austin Aldiano. Yeah. I mean, it's a reliever because he has no control, but he doesn't even have like overpowering stuff. So that's a no for me, even though he has 40 potential. I wish him the best. Magnus Ellerts. Okay, this one I'd be more inclined. Like, it's still probably a no. He spent 2 years in Double A. I think we'll move him to Triple A just on the fact, okay, kind of let's see what you can do. You're very unhappy in Double A. You did all right the first year. You did horribly last year. Your skills aren't great because you'll walk the yard. And unless you fix that, that is going to be a problem. The computer is over-indexed on it, which is good. We would want that. I'm actually going to go a little harder with it, though. Oh, prevent the AI from adjusting them. Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's take a little bit off of everything else and put it all in the control just to see, right? He's a long shot as is with this profile, so might as well just kind of take that one last hurrah at it. Mauber Cheryl, that was one of our draft picks. I mean, he's a 40 potential with just the crazy raw stuff. If he had like high work ethic, I might throw him on the list because like that stuff combo with high work ethic and just see if something else can happen. But as is, I don't think it gets there. So yeah, I don't think there's any of the guys that I'm missing. So let's see what we've got here with the pitchers and if anybody really jumps out. Now, Jaquan Washington, we already talked about. Oh yeah, I forgot to take off the draft picks. So when you take off the draft picks, it really lightens the pitcher load right now from 22 to 14. So eight of our best pitching prospects were from this year's draft. As you can tell, I knew it was an issue that we were a little bit light on pitchers, so I made a concerted effort to take some. Patrick Forbes is our top guy here, or the top listed of the group of 445s. There's some potential here for sure. He's been horrendously bad in the minors, though. Third round pick from 2025. Maybe he's being over challenged, but I love the profile, the personality profile, I should say. Great fastball to build on, but we got to see some stuff. I'm not giving up on him, but I think he needs to stay in Double A, figure out some things there, and then maybe he can become something for us. Cooper Fulbright, they got him listed as a reliever. He can start, but he is a control risk, so I guess that's fine. Fifth round pick. Caleb Hoover, he sucks. And I didn't just do that for the Hoover pun. He's just not that good. Yeah, the pitching depth really isn't there, y'all. It's really unimpressive. Clayton Arma isn't terrible. If he comes to fruition, there's some potential, but he has low work ethic, so that mitigates the excitement there. Chris Lavonis was a supplemental first-round pick, and he's already down to a 40 potential. It's not coming together, but it's still there. It's still there. He turns 21 in February, and there's still green across the board potential-wise, and he is high work ethic. So I haven't given up on him. I think he could be a sneaky development, maybe turn into something real for us. Blake Larson has a bunch of green here, as you can see. Cade Morris. Like, there's some things here. I think if the development team does their job, then a decent number of these pitchers can turn into something for us. Let's sort by round. And you see, only Lavonis is a first rounder, and he's supplemental. All the rest are third round or later, or acquired by a different means. And so if we can turn these guys into major leaguers, like that's doing really well there. Of course, your first and second rounders, they're expected to turn into something. But when you start pushing deeper into the draft and turning guys into something, that's when you really have a system working. But the bottom line is right now the farm system is light. I think that is an undeniable fact. And again, for the most part, that's okay because we have a relatively young team too, right? Like if we were 30s all over the board, well, then I'd have a reason for concern. I'd be like, we have no system and we're old. Okay, what are we, the Giants? No. You look, and we only have 3 guys over age 27, only 2 guys in their 30s. One is our very best player in the universe, Jose Ramirez, and the other is our boy Hayden Boggs, who we signed out of South Africa this year, who came over and blasted 34 bombs for us. So we're fine with those elder statesmen. Kyle Stowers is the other at age 28, which, that's fine. He's on the right side of 30, and he's a nice power guy for us, too. Then on the pitching side, we do have a little bit more age with Gray and Woodruff, but those were pickups that we brought in. Same with Raylo. So we brought in, and Aiken. And Bradish, for that matter, right? So we have, we have 6 guys who are 30 and above on the pitching side, and 5 of them were brought in. Now, I'm okay with that. Obviously, you don't want your pitching to break down, and obviously the older they get, the more likely that is. But I like getting some older pitching because they're more established. We know who they are. And so between the two sides, the hitting and the pitching, I'm always okay with the pitching being a bit older. As you can see here, nobody's under 26. So our pitching is a little bit older, but that's okay. We've developed Cantillo and Ailman within this sim. Cade Smith is somebody who was, kind of already developing in real life. We've actually seen him have a great year for the Guards in real life here, and we've turned him into something. Jaime Arias is from the system, and he's not a stud or anything, but he's a legit lefty reliever for us. So there's some quality here. It's just not super young. Jack Neely, I forget. Oh yeah, Rule 5 pick from New York, one of our younger guys, and look at how great he was. Super stopper. Maybe he's in line for reliever of the year this year. So there you go. That's our farm report, y'all. If there's anything else that you want to see, I guess we can look at the overall prospects since we are doing a farm report. Let's see what the league at large looks like. Let's just take a look at the top 10 guys real quick. Minor league system. No. Where's the top prospects? All right. Jesus Montenegro is an international free agent signing from 2025. He's the number 1 overall prospect for the Red Sox. Horse Montenegro signed for 4.75. So, got the big deal and looks like a stud potentially for Boston. Not much of a defender, second, third base, big 70 arm. So you're putting him at third and just kind of letting the arm do its work. Of course, they also have Devers, but you could say that, and then you realize, okay, Montenegro's 18. By the time Montenegro's ready, Devers is probably gonna be first base, DH, or not even on their ball club. So not a concern there. David Garfias is from Houston. The number 2 prospect, he's also an international signing, also from 2025. He's got the complete package, a great bat and a rangy quality glove in the infield, and 60 speed profile all over. Speed, steal, aggressiveness, ability, and base running are all 60s. So that's pretty nice. Then we've got Quentin Young here for the Phillies, number 3 prospect. He was the number 2 overall pick from the 2025 draft. So 2025 yielding a lot of prospect capital here with the top 3 guys all coming from 2025. And what you have here is 70 power, 50 eye, 55 gas, like a bunch of green, but with the big 70 power and a decent infield glove there that can certainly hang at third. Would be stretched at second, but I could see maybe putting him there, not short. He has short on the card, but we're not playing him at short, and I doubt Philly will either. Julio Campazano, it's Luis Campazano with an S. This is Julio Campazano with a Z. Number 4 prospect, guess what? 2025 international free agent signing. That's not terribly surprising. We know that. I think this year the game overinflates the recent international signings a little bit in the prospect rankings. It's not the end of the world, but it's a little much. Not that there isn't a lot of potential here. 70 potential, 75 potential BABIP. Like, that's huge. But he's 19. He's so far away. It's like, give me some of the more established guys that are, AA, IA, AAA. Put them at the top. But either way, it's fine. Then you have Braden Montgomery also for Boston, the Stanford turned Texas A&M standout, who unfortunately missed the College World Series this year due to injury. That was so heartbreaking. I'm an A&M hater. I will freely admit that, but I don't root for injury or anything like that, and I don't relish in injury for anybody, even a scumbag. Like, I won't name names, but like, there's players out there that I'm not a fan of. Still would never root for injury because then you're no better than the scumbag that you're hating on. Either way, Braden Montgomery, switch hitting beast, 60 power already with 70 potential. He's here in AAA for Boston. He is on the cusp. He'll be contributing this year. He should graduate, but he is the number 5 prospect right now. Huge arm in the outfield as well. He was the number 12 pick from the 2024 draft. Then you have Walker Jenkins. We know him. Him and Max Clark come in next at 8 and 9, and they are, of course, from the 2023 draft when they were drafted right behind each other, right? What pick was Jenkins? Was he right after Clark? It went Skeens, Cruz, Clark, Langford, Jenkins, right? Jenkins was 5th. Either way, Jenkins is, he's ready. In fact, he played in the majors this year, 124 plate appearances, so he won't graduate yet, but he's graduating early next year. He's a stud, ready to rock. Clark, he's in Double-A. He reached Double-A this year after a great high A showing. Didn't do much at Double-A, but that's fine. He's still 21. He's working his way up. 10th ranked prospect. A lot of yellow already on his board, with the potential to get into the green and the teal, and a great defensive and speed profile. So he's a true center fielder, definitely a potential stud. And then Sergio Restrepo, also from the Twins, is the, it says 10 right here, but then says 11. That's confusing, because these are the hitters. Like, I understand why, 6 is missing, 7's missing. It's because they're going to be on the hitting side. Oh wait, no, it's, I was just misreading it. The 10 is right there, Paul. Oh wait, no, I wasn't wrong. The 11's right here. Sorry. I thought I confused myself with the confusion. But either way, whether he's 10, 11, it doesn't really matter. I don't really understand why he's 10 right here, but then 11 in there. Bottom line is he's good for Minnesota. Juan Nava is the top pitching prospect. He's the number 6 overall prospect. Guess when he was signed? 2025 international period. Huge surprise there. Huge potential, though, for Baltimore. Could be an absolute monster. Alfredo Olivas for Jacksonville, formerly the Rockies, of course. So they get a big-time prospect. When did they get Olivas? Number 7 ranked prospect. International free agent signing from 2025. Dadoy. And then I think that's it. So there's only 2 top 10 pitching prospects. Where's Marcos Paz? He's another one. So it says 16 here, but then 17 here. I don't understand that. What am I missing on that? It's probably something, me being a dumbass, but I need to know how I'm being a dumbass in this instance. Travis Bazana, Jersey Born does a great, he does his great Australian accent when he starts talking Travis Bazana. I don't even have one in the bag. I'm not even going to try it. Bazana has not really panned out to be a mega stud right now, as he lingers a little bit in Double-A. The profile is getting there, and there's still the potential to turn into something, but it doesn't look like he's going to be a mega stud unless something really turns for him with Cincinnati. That said, he could get in that park. Even if he just develops to this level here, put him in that Cincinnati park, and he's still a premier hitter. So there you go. There's a look at our system. A bunch of prospects at the top end of all of baseball. And there it is. I promised you guys on the farm report, and I delivered. We'll get the rest of the stuff going with the 2027 offseason. We'll kind of set up what we're going to do, figure out. I think it's going to be a huge offseason, y'all. We need to figure some things out. We are still chasing the Kings, the Baltimore Orioles, who just do not lose. They are a force. They are inevitable right now. 109 wins on the season, another World Series victory. We'll see if we can figure out anything to improve our team to hopefully take down that ball club. But until then, talk to y'all later. Peace.